Previous video we understand what exactly the Ansible and why do we require Ansible, and we even saw some features of Ansible, right? And also we have also covered the differences between the Ansible as well as Terraform, and while when to use Ansible, when to use Terraform, everything. And we also understood and we saw some example of Ansible playbook. Okay, so what is play and what is task, everything we saw, right? And also we came across what is Ansible role, where we gonna see Ansible roles inside the, that is as a part of Ansible Galaxy. So and also the collection, right? And these are the some of the commands, that is CLI we will be going to use. So if you are creating the custom role within your local system, there after you going to upload it, if you wish to upload it to your these things where to your Ansible repository, means to create a custom role we will be using Ansible Galaxy role init followed by name, right? That one. And if you want to pull your configuration file or the provisioning infrastructure file from the roles, just use this command, that is Ansible fn galaxy install, that is name of the role. So where you're going to find out these roles name means in the galaxy Ansible. So just type in UL, that is galaxy Ansible. So you will be redirected to that. From there you choose roles. There you will have two options, one is role, another one is we see that. Just get into this galaxy. So while you are downloading any of your configuration files or these things, so here we have, right, configuration file. Just get in and copy the code and paste it in your terminal, so it will get downloaded to your local system. So if you want to install the collection, so when we use the collection, when we wants to interact with third party application that is outside the Ansible, on that case we'll be using the collection instead. So while we require collection, there are the dependencies and it's a combination of many roles. Okay, so here we will be installing only particular role. So but in collection AWS, Amazon.aws, in the sense what are the services we have in AWS, each services will have its own role followed by the task. That's the major difference between the roles as well as the collections. Okay, so if you want to list, you can list, or if you want to remove your collections or the roles, you can just galaxy role search. Okay, so we have just come across only the theoretical knowledge. We haven't seen anything by running how we going to provision the infrastructure using the Ansible. We haven't seen, right? So here I have already one Ansible role. Okay, just created the one primary directive. Inside that I have created my role. So I have created the role in the name of EC2. Inside that I have already have a structure which is by default created by calling the Ansible Galaxy roles. Okay, so inside that I have placed my task. What tasks need to be executed? So whenever I run this role, I need some task to be executed, right? I will going to place that task inside the task directory, subdirectory. So what I am specifying here is I have just mentioned the name of my task, that is start an instance with an public IP address. So this is just a name convention for your better understanding. Okay, instead of doing comment, you just pass the name. Okay, so followed by collection. So from where I need to pull, so I require dependencies, right? So For that purpose, I will be using the collection. So which collection? From amazon.aws, I will be using EC2 instance. So using the EC2 instance, I'm going to define what are the required things. Fine. So I just going to mention what is the name of my instance. If you want your key to be embedded with the EC2 instance, you can just provide the name of your key. If not, you can create and you can link it here also. So if you are trying to create any resources in default VPC, you don't need to mention or you don't need to have this key value pay, right? So you don't require to have. You just for that purpose, I just commented that. Okay. Next is instance type. So it is must required. So you need to mention CPU, RAM, everything, right? And the security group. So even this also, if you want to create in default, you just mention this default as and region. That is main. In which region you wanted to create. I'm creating in Europe North 1 region. Okay. So if I provide this AWS access key and secret key here itself, I could not able to share this screen also as well as the script also to anyone else. Since if they want any of these in if they want my secret key as well as the access key, they can able to gain access to my account, AWS account, right? So for that purpose, we won't be using here. So to hide these confidential things, we have many ways. Okay, so that is we make use of Ansible vault. Okay, so even we can use that also. We can just create a vault file and we can store and we can pass the things. Or else, if you don't want to even keep it in vault also, you just use the command called export, that is AWS access key followed by the value, AWS secret key followed by the value. So this will validate that session and it will retain for unless until you going to close this window. Okay, so now this one and networking part. So I am assigning the IP address to this EC2 instance because I wanted to access, right? And there I will be providing the image. I mean the image ID in the sense the which OS you will be using. So here I will be using the Ubuntu and the state is present. So present in the sense it checks for that whether it is available or not. If it is not available, it is going to pass. I mean it is going to create the EC2 instance. Okay. Why I have used here the wait and followed by the value s means I want my instance to, that is I want my operation to be wait unless until the instance got created because I want my public IP address to be returned back. So whenever we hit the launch button, it will take few seconds to create and generate the public IP address. Right? The waiting period duration that should wait and it should return back me with the public IP address. For that purpose, I just mentioned the wait. Okay, next is register. So register I am passing the variable or the value res. How why we have used like register like this? So this is work exactly same as return function. Okay. So in programming language, how return is going to work? So at the end of the function, if you want to return value to the calling function, you will write right return so and so variable. It is going to print the value, whatever the value that got processed from the function, it will return at the end. So likewise here also, so whatever the operation is going to do while creating an EC2 instance, and after creating an EC2 instance, we will be getting private IP, public IP, and the storage details, everything, right? Where it is created. So all those details get stored here. From here, I will be retrieving only the public IP address. I want only the public IP address. I don't want any other information of my instance. So how I am used to printing. So here I am created another task called get public IP. Okay, you can name it anything as you wish. Okay, next is debug. So debug is the inbuilt function or the command, I can say that, of an Ansible, followed by message or variable, whatever. Okay, so here I am creating a variable, that is the public IP is, this is my variable, and this is my dynamic variable, I can say that. So every time it gets created, right, it will. So here whatever the result or the whatever the data I have stored after creation, that will be, I'm here using the object oriented concept. So result dot instance of 0. So probably you might be wondering why you have taken instances dot public IP address, how you came to know this. Okay, I will going to show everything. Okay, just keep an eye on this line. Okay, instance of 0 dot public underscore IP underscore address. So this will return me I public IP address of the instance once after creating. Okay, so we're going to see. So what practical I will be doing right as of now is, with the help of Ansible role, I am going to create, or I am going to provision in the EC2 instance. Fine. So how do I run this? Means, I have my role. To run this role, I have created the another playbook file. So whenever you wanted to perform or you want to execute something in Ansible, we need to have playbook, that is in the format of YAML. Okay. So here I have just defined my task and what needs to be done. Only that much I have explained here, and I have scripted here in my EC2. Okay, in my EC2, that is Ansible role structure. And outside that, I have created another playbook, that is EC2 hyphen Ansible playbook.yaml. So it's naming convention, you can follow how you want. So I've just followed because just to relate that. Okay. So here I have mentioned host as a local host. Since I am provisioning, that is I am trying to create the infrastructure inside the Ansible, that is AWS. Here we are not interacting with any of the server. We are interacting with the third party application called AWS, right? So for that we need to install Boto 3 or Boto core as well as Python in your local machine. So where Ansible you going to execute, there we should have, where Boto 3 or Boto core, it acts as, it's a API which going to that is from your system, it is going to communicate with AWS. For that purpose we make use of Boto 3 tool, that is API call. It is going to call that AWS using the credential what we have provided, that is access key as well as secret key, right? Keeping those things, it get access to that AWS account and performs the operation what we have written inside the task. Okay, hope you people got it right. So inside the playbook, I need to call that Ansible role, right? So simply if I run the playbook, it doesn't have any meaning. So for that purpose, I just created the another value, that is role, followed by the hyphen and EC2. You can pass multiple roles if you want. Just right click and hyphen. If you have another roles, you can create it. We're going to see in future. Okay, so and the connection is also local. Okay, so and another thing or another key value you can add here is gather facts. Let's go to this. So why gathering facts? It's not necessarily required while we are provisioning the infrastructure. It is required when we are configuring the servers or the remote machines. So you just observe here. I will say that no, gather facts is equal to, we'll pass it as boolean value, that is false. Okay, so we'll try to run that. What we want to see, we'll see. So this is the command which we use to run the playbook. Okay, so Ansible hyphen playbook ec2 hyphen playbook dot, that is name of your thing. Okay, just hit enter. So what it is saying, so previously okay, I will let you know. So observe that warning. So provided host list is empty. That is, I am not providing any of the host. I have just mentioned it as localhost, right? So only localhost is available. Not that implicit localhost does not match all. So the value all, if I provide here, it won't consider it. So then my playlist got, that is my playbook got running. So it says that localhost, I'm running in the localhost, and it will automatically fetches the role, that is ec2. It will go to ec2 and it will read the task file first. It will read whole one, and according to the execution followed declarative things, it will start execution. That is what is the name of my first task: start an ec2 instance with the public ip, right? So it got created. And then task 2, what is the task 2? Get the public ip address. So what is the public ip address of my ec2 instance which is got created? So that is what here I am mentioning. So we'll see whether the things already got created or not. Okay, see here the Ansible instance which is got created. Fine. So if I selected, see the public ip 5122.134 dot. So is both are same. Okay, so just I make copy of it and I will replace it here. We'll keep this aside for a moment and we'll understand. Okay, so just I have given, that is gather facts as false, right? If I say true means what could be the difference we want to make out? So just observe here, play localhost. You are not getting any of things, right? See, the another column got created, that is gathering facts. Okay, localhost, the same IP address. Since there is nothing to be changed, there is nothing to be created, since already the resource or the provision have been created, right? So this is how we going to create simple EC2 instance using the Ansible playbook. Okay, so now we created the thing, that is Ansible playbook, and just I wanted that servers to have my Apache software to be installed. How do I achieve it? So from this I got my public IP addresses, right? So now here I have another playbook. Fine. So in this playbook, what I have written, so I have mentioned that is host hyphen all. That means, now what it is happening here means, assume that, see here, host means all. In this case, host equals to all. So this is the uh, simple playbook where I have written task as well as plays in one playbook itself, as I mentioned or as I explained during the what is playbook and all, right, slide on that slide. So this is how it is. Okay, so we just try to connect to that using okay, so probably I cannot able to connect to that instance since I have not included any key here, that is key name I haven't given, right? So again I need to, let me comment this, and now I have created the EC2 instance and it is running fine, right? Now I wanted to destroy that. So instead I going to represent, that is I replace the value present by absent. So we'll see what exactly it is going to. We'll run. Just we go. I just replace that and we'll go. I'm running the playbook command. So what it is going to happen, we'll see. So observe here from states running, it should already it's terminating. That is, it's getting shut down and terminate. Okay. So meanwhile we look for key pair which is available. Mm, we'll go and we'll pick the latest one, that is Ansible.pem. Okay. So probably you might get confused here. I was getting error since one is failed. Since I am not writing any other script to delete my instance, I will be using the existing script only to delete my instance. So in task 2, I have written to fetch for public IP address. When you deleted the public, that is when you deleted the EC2 instance, you won't get any public IP address got written, right? For that purpose, we are getting this error. So just you can ignore it. That doesn't mean that, or that doesn't affect your any of your operations. So see here. So what it's saying, that instance got terminated. Fine. So now from absent we need to make it present. Now I have passed the key name. Okay. So I have passed the key name, that is ansible.pem. So we'll see now how exactly it is going to work. Okay. So now we'll maximize and we'll run that one. Let me check whether I have saved this. I have saved it. Okay. I'll just change the state and now the network parameter has been duplicated. Please use the network interface or the connection starting instance. Okay. So the error what I am getting is it is looking for something that is ansible.pem like that, right? So while I am writing here, if I am inside the playbook itself, so without passing any of the dynamic variable, so just need to have ansible since already the key is available right there. So we'll try to run that again, whether we can able to achieve it or not. We'll see. Yes, we got succeed. Okay, and we'll try to replace this. So see here, the another instance got created and we cross verify the IP address. 1362 is the same as we saw, right? We add copy, we shall copy this one and paste it inside the inventory file. Okay, we'll keep that aside. Now what we just did is we created the EC2 instance with the public IP, and to access that instance from outside we already linked the, that is SSH key, right? That is encryption key or the secret key to that my EC2 instance. Now we'll try to connect EC2 instance. What error we going to see? So we'll try to connect to EC2 instance and we'll see what will happen. So we just, I don't want to type, I just going to copy these. Okay. So this is the instant we try to connect. Okay. See, the authenticity of the host cannot be established. His fingerprint, the key name is known by other names. We provide S warning. So the permission is denied. We'll try to access through sudo key also, whether we can able to get it or not. So it is saying permission denied. So why we are getting permission denied means we are directly trying to access the EC2 instance without providing any key pair name, right? So here we can see the concept of passwordless authentication system. Okay, so we'll see we have that command. We'll go. So this is the command where we going to use passwordless authentication to access your EC2 instance without providing the key all the time. Okay, so there we encountered error, right? We cannot able to access in this the remote access is denied due to publicly like that, so and so things, right? So what exactly the command is going to says here means I am saying here that is ssh hyphen copy hyphen id. So I am telling, I am passing the command. So copy the id of that ssh hyphen f. So hyphen f says that we are forcefully copying it. Okay, so from where we need to copy, so I've just passed the value that is identify file. Okay, so option that is identify file. So where it is located in my system, that is mnd-c. This is the path my, this is the path to my, that is key, pem key where I have downloaded. Okay, and followed by my instance to which I should access. So we'll try to pass this command. Okay, we'll see. So the identity error I'm getting, we'll try to see here user bin ssh info source key and installed root. So here the key got installed and now try to log in on the machine, that is using the, it is asking me to try to log in using this command. We'll try to log passing whether can we able to access the machine or not. So since it's saying probably we need to provide sudo. Look here, so we got access to our EC2 instance, right? So we'll try to sudo apt update. Okay, so now we just created the instance using the Ansible playbook, and we have configured passwordless authentication for logging into our remote EC2 instance from my local system only. Here I am not logged into any AWS interfaces. Inside the Visual Studio only, I am able to log into my Ubuntu instance, right? So for that purpose, we will be using the SSH, that is copy ID. Using that, we just logged in. Okay, we just updated our server also. We'll see that. G2 version. I don't think so. Okay. See here, what it is telling. So the command apache 2 not found but can be installed. So apache 2 is not available in this my ec2 instance, okay, or my server. So using ansible playbook itself, we're going to install apache 2 here. Okay, we close that. Fine. So this is my ec2 instance where I going to install apache 2 in this server. I don't want this server. Okay, fine. So where is my YAML file? Okay, here. So here I have mentioned all instead of all. We'll see what is in my inventory file, that is A1. I will going to replace it with A1. This is my host. Okay, so became true, that is became root. Okay, next followed by the task. What I am telling is install the Apache HTTP. Okay, here I am passing the Apache built-in command, I mean, sorry, Ansible built-in command to install Apache 2 in my Ubuntu. So in Ubuntu, we'll be using the command to install this. We will be using apt followed by Apache to be installed. Okay. Next, update the cache followed by. Here I am performing another operation. So once after installing the Apache 2, here name followed by that is copy file with owner permissions. Okay. So what I am doing, source. From here index.html. So whatever I have created, if I am not created, we are going to create. Okay. Okay. So let it simple itself. Okay. So index.html. So obviously, once the Apache server, that is software, got installed on your server, where I should place my file, which should easy to be accessible outside, right? I should be able to access outside it, right? So I have just mentioned the destination in my server. Navigate to where, that is variable followed by www dot followed by html. Inside the html, I will going to copy this one. Okay, and the permission will be root owner. Okay, so this is my playbook. So now what I going to do is, here what I am exactly doing, I am just installing, that is I am managing my application. That is managing in the sense I am installing the application and taking care of deploying the web application in my server. That is, here I am doing the work of configuring the application and deploying the software, right? For this I required inventory file. Why do I required? I need to specify the target server, in which target server I should execute this task and I should perform this work, right? For that purpose, we required to run, or we need required to have the inventory file. Okay, so this is my inventory file. Inside the inventory file, what I want the details of my server. So where I am communicating as of now, A1. So it will look for inventory file. Inside that, it will look for A1. Under A1, what are the instance or the server we have mentioned, it will going to communicate to that. We'll going to see now. So to run my playbook as well as inventory, we have a different command, that is Ansible -I refers to the identity or the path to your inventory file. So my inventory file is located in mnt forward slash e forward slash gts internal ansible followed by inventory file. So here I have provided path to my inventory file, and inside my inventory file what I have, the targeted instance or the targeted servers details, right? So I have just passed my targeted server. In targeted server, what should be happen? For that purpose I will be mentioning my playbook. Okay, so we'll try to run that and see. So we encountered some error. We'll see what was that error. There might be a typo mistake, probably. Yes, there is a typo mistake, and we'll see that. So what I did is, I'm just trying to run the playbook, but I have not provided the Ansible playbook. Just I am provided Ansible. That was the error. Now we'll see whether it will run. Yes, it's running. Okay. So the Ubuntu failed to connect to the host via SSH. Ubuntu 13, that is, this is the IP permission denied publicly unreachable. True. Okay. So 1362 to 1. Okay. 16. So why it is showing? So we'll try to pass using the root. Yes. Now what exactly happened in the background means, so inside my play inventory file, that is my sudo, that is sudo ansible playbook, it takes the root access and it follows the command that is passes that I am running the playbook, and if I identify the path to my inventory file. So it reads the inventory file. Sorry, first initially it reads the httpd.yaml file. From there it got fetched that I am calling the variable that is a1, and it gathers the facts. So inside the a1 of inventory file, what is there? So it checks for this. It gathers the facts. That is, it checks that this is the instance ID I want inside my a1. From there, the task got executed. That is, it tried to access to that EC2 instance. It got accessed, and from once after getting access to that EC2 instance, it performed the task, whatever the task we have mentioned. So install the Apache HTTPD. So changed, that is, it got installed. And task, what is the task? Copy the file with the owner permission. That is, the task is completed. So totally 3 tasks got completed, 2 got changed. And I mean, so in EC2 instance we got 2 different changes. One is we got installed with Apache, another one is we got copied the file from local system, my root system. We'll try to access whatever the index that is we just created, right? One HTML file. We try to access that file using the public IP address of the EC2 instance. Whether we can able to get it or not, we'll see. Okay, let me copy the public IP address, paste it. Okay, followed by 8080. This is the port number of the Apache, followed by index.html. So probably we cannot able to access to this resource since we have not allowed, right, HTTPS. So we need to update thing in security group to access that. We'll go into security group. Okay, we have all traffic. We will see whether we can able to access them. We cannot able to access. Okay, add rule. We have HTTP. Sorry, not 8080. Oh, yep, sorry. It was my mistake. So excuse. Okay. So there is nothing need not to be updated in any security group. You can just copy the public IP address of the instance and copy it forward slash path, that is name of your index. Hello, I am Ansible. Right? I got access to. So this is the this is how we going to configure the application, manage the application, and manages the deployment process of software or the application using the Ansible playbook. So hopefully you people have understood when to use inventory file, when not to use inventory file. Hopefully you people have got, and even I have run the that is Ansible playbook in two different, that is I have directly run the Ansible playbook, and also I have used Ansible roles. I have just run in two way also. Hopefully you people have got it right. So now, okay. So now we just saw inventory file practically only directly. Even there also I have mentioned or I have explained why we required inventory files. Okay, so we'll once again we'll come across it. So an inventory file in Ansible is a file that defines the host. I just mentioned, right? So in inventory file, while you are configuring some servers, we need to mention the virtual machines of the servers ID. Only for that purpose, we make use of inventory file that Ansible can manage. The inventory file lists the targeted nodes, organize them in groups. Even you can provide in the groups or provide the necessary details for connecting them. Okay, so we'll understand what is the purpose. Already we know, but still we try to understand. So the purpose of inventory file. Okay, centralized configuration. The inventory file allow you to manage and configure host from one location, giving Ansible a map of all system it will interact with. So what they are telling is, so inside here inventory file, I have, as of now, I have two different servers, right? Here I have mentioned instead of creating single file for single server, I just created the name called inventory.ini, and I pass just I have mentioned what are the server list of server I wanted to manage from here. I just provided their details, right? That is what they have mentioned here. And grouping and organizing. So here I have grouped. If I don't want group, I just going to delete these two things. From on that case, well, I provide here, that is in YAML file, instead of providing the grouping one, I need to mention all. So on that case, whatever the things you won inside the inventory file, all those hosts get executed with this task. Okay, and connection details. The inventory file includes connection parameter like IP address, SSH key, or the username credential. So it is not limited to providing the IP address of your servers, but you can also provide SSH key or user credential that Ansible uses to communicate with each host. Okay, so we can do, and dynamic infrastructure. In dynamic environment like cloud infrastructure, example that is AWS Azure, the inventory file can adopt as it scales up or scaled down. So we can also use to scale up and scale down the infrastructure also as we going to do or as we going to perform in Terraform as and type of inventory files. We have two different. We just saw one is static inventory, a manual maintained file listing each host typically in N or YAML format. It's suitable for stable environment which host does not change frequently. So if we do not have, so if we want elastic IP, that is the static public IP address, even after restarting, we will be retained with the older IP only. We won't get replaced with new IP. On those case, we can use static inventory. So if your IP address got changed frequently, on that case we'll be using dynamic inventory, a script or the plugin based inventory that queries external resource. That is, whenever you try to run the playbook, it will going to fetch, or it will going to list whatever the resource they want, and it will map that, and it will fetch the IP address of that server, and it will replace in the variable format. This is the ideal for cloud environment where the number and configuration of host changes frequently. Fine. So we just saw that how we going to provision the infrastructure using the Ansible role. Okay, so we created EC2 instance and we got the public IP address in return, right? So one task we did is we created the infrastructure using the Ansible playbook. Next task what we did is, whatever the resource we created, that is EC2 instance, we tried to access initially, we could not able to achieve since we do not have proper SSH key. See, okay, so there what we did, we passed the SSH key using the command ssh-copy-d, right? And followed by the identification, that is path to your inventory file, followed by the IP address of your instance. So what does that command do is, it will going to copy that public IP address and it is stored in the SSH that is SSH directory of its own private key. Okay, it will store there and it will be kept in the local machine for further usage of the same key. Fine. So there we got access to our EC2 instance. In future, we do not require to pass SSH key all the time to get access to that EC2 instance. So we have already stored in local machine. We can just try to log into that EC2 instance just by providing the IP address. That's more than enough. Okay. So I can show you again if required. So we'll try to copy the address. Okay. Look here, right now I am in my Windows machine. So we'll try to access to EC2 instance. Alright, look here. We just got access to EC2 instance. That's all. I did not pass any key or anything, right? I will exit. So that is one. And I provisioned, I got access to my EC2 instance by using the passwordless authentication by configuring it. And from there, the primary concept of using the Ansible, why we have understood in the previous video, that is for managing and configuring the software and software deployment. We did that. So what we did, we installed the Apache server, that is software, inside my EC2 instance, and I copy the file, that is HTML, to the EC2 instance. I tried to access using the public IP of EC2 instance, right? I got access to my file. We saw the two major operation of the EC2 instance, right? Okay, so we'll see. So in case we used to encounter many errors, right? We were we could not able to proceed further while we encountered the error. So in Ansible, assume that, let me show you some. Okay, so this is the mini project I have done actually. Okay. So look here, this is the dynamic one where I have not given any information here. So everything is fetched from the variable file. So whenever it is called, here I have mentioned each and everything. So the variable will be associated in the main function. So that is db underscore name. Here db underscore name having the name like that. Okay. So here I have mentioned that is a dynamic thing. That is, initially the security group will created the security group id. Once it is got created, so it will be fetched. Where it will fetch? Here I have security group. Here task, inside task I have written my security group. So I have registered the data security group id facts, that is set fact. Set fact I have passed, that is sg underscore id. This is the variable I am declaring. Inside my variable I am trying to fetch, that is sg. So here this variable I am trying to call here. Sorry, here. Fine. So when you start practicing the code, you will going to get what exactly is going and how it is going. So as of now, we were discussing about error handling, right? You ignore all those things and you try to understand that here I have just have I am having single task. In real time we might have hundreds of tasks. Okay, so in Ansible what exactly it going to do means, it will try to run this first task, that is create RDS instance, and it will wait for the response. If it is successful means it will use to go and execute the next preceding task, okay, the second task. If it is failed means the next task won't get executed, the process got terminated. To avoid that, we have the concept of error handling. Fine. So in error handling, so what they are telling, error handling in Ansible is crucial for managing and troubleshooting the task that might fail due to connectivity issue, misconfiguration, or unexpected conditions. Ansible offers several mechanisms for handling error effectively. Fine. So ignoring error with ignore errors. So we have a keyword or command called ignore errors. For example, what they are telling here is, so ignore errors is directive allows a task to continue executing the playbook even if the and if it is encountered an error. However, use this carefully as it can subsequent task to rely on failed stages. So when the task 1 is not relied on task 2, sorry, task 2 is not relied on task 1, on that case we can use this error skipping, that is error handling one. So we can just pass that is ignore error hyphen s. If I encounter any error during the execution of this task, it will ignore and it will going to execute the next task. Okay, so this should be used only when task 2 is not depending on the task 1. Fine. For example, there I have installed Apache 2, then I have copied the task that is so here I have written two tasks, right? So what I did is, so what they are telling is this task 2 is not related or depend on the task 1. So in this case the task 2 is dependent on the task 1. How you might be confused. So if you haven't installed the Apache in your Apache server in your EC2 instance, you won't be able to locate the destination address. On that case, the task 2 will get failed. Okay, so about to this, if you have another task to install Python, assume, or else we'll try to. Okay, so Python 3. So in this case, what will happen means, so it will first, so to run Apache, you don't require Python, right? So if you don't have to install, that is while installing Python 3, we encounter some error. Okay, so without using the ignore errors, okay, ignore error function or the feature in Ansible, if this If this task got or encountered with an error, it won't get proceed with the another task. That is next task. So when this task is optional, is not mandatorily required to have in your server, on that case we can have this feature, that is ignore errors. By passing this, we can move on. That is one way of handling the error. Another one is using failed when the custom condition. So if you have some condition to be specified, on that scenario also we can have. Here we have a quite snippet that is named check if the directory is empty. We just saw, right? So if Apache 2 isn't available in your EC2 instance, on that case we can have this kind of task. Check if the Apache 2 is there or not, like that. And the command, that is ls, we can provide this one. If it is available, if it is got installed, means this path should be available in my system. If it is not executed, next result, I mean registering the result. So what exactly is failed underscore when the result dot standard output. So what is the error I going to get? It will get displayed here. Another one is error handling with rescue and always. The block rescue as always statements let you to control task flow based on whether previous task fails. This method provides more structured error handling, similar we try to expect finally in the thing. So it is kind of a error that is in programmatical language we used to have try catch block, right? Like that. So here inside the block we going to write the task attempt to connect to the database followed by the command. We are trying to connect, or we are trying to establish the connection to the database, right? It will check if any error got executed. So rescue, that is it will going to catch that error and send an alert to the database connection fail. So what it is saying, it is sending a message. So the database server is unreachable. That is we going to get error, right? 404. Okay. So whether this condition got succeed or not, always this should be prompted. So what they are telling, that is finally blocked. That is always name log connection attempts debug database connection attempt logged, like that they are telling. Okay. And we saw why do we use register to capture the result and how we saw, right? That is all. And we can also have another error handling feature, that is setting max fail percentage. So we can specify how many percentage of failure that is it will going to execute, right? So the max fail percentage options allows a play to fail only after this certain percentage of host fail. So assume that you have 10 host which should install Apache 2 and copy the same content from the local system. So what they are telling is it will check. So if maximum percentage is 20, so 10 in 10%, sorry, in 10 system 20% is only 2, right? If initial two host or the nodes got error, ignore the rest things. So max fail percentage. Okay, so this can helpful when you wanted to avoid failure in the entire play when only few hosts encounter issue. So it will check for starting nodes whether they are running fine or they are working fine or not. So if they are, they will proceed with the another task. If they don't, means the percentage when it reaches to 20, automatically the playbook, that is the playbook execution got terminated. So what they are telling, they want to install the package across the nodes, that is host they are passing the web install Apache, that is what they are telling. Okay, so yeah, probably they will be using HTTP and the maximum file, like that. So at another running retry the failed task. So how many tries? So probably the auto refresh would take place, right, during while you are accessing the web servers or sometimes. So automatically it keeps loads for certain moment, then it will return that for not for error or some errors. Okay, how they going to happen, this is what they go, this is how it will work. Exactly. So attempt connection with retries. Though whenever you hit some button, the command will execute it. That is custom URL to my service. Register. That is if they wanted to record logs, they're going to make use of this. Okay. Next is retries. If the connection to this custom URL got failed, it will retry 5 times with the frequency of 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds it is going to retry to access the my service thing. So even after trying for 5 times, it could not able to achieve or it could not able to access to that resource, it will get terminated. So until result.rc is equal to 0. That is what they are telling. Okay. So next is Ansible Vault. So why do we require Vault? I just mentioned during the Ansible infrastructure provisioning task, right? So if you provide your secret key and access key, the other persons or anyone can able to gain access to your thing or the resource. So without knowing you, they can able to access. Okay, so to avoid those conflicts or the complications in the organization, what they're going to do is they're going to create the vault file. Okay, so they're going to create the vault file and they're going to store everything in that file. Only while running the playbook, they're going to pass the parameter as vault file. They're going to authenticate using that file and they get executed. So probably we'll see that Ansible Vault is a feature that allows you to encrypt the sensitive data like password, API keys, any other secrets within the Ansible playbook. So variable configuration file. This is crucial for keeping the sensitive information secure, especially in the version control environment or when sharing the playbooks across the team. Okay. So some teams might not require the login credentials. They only need the script. That's all because they have their own login credential. They can make it all right to do. Next is key features. So what are the advantages of using the Ansible Vault? So we can encrypt the file, encrypt the entire file or the specific variables also we can encrypt. Next is role-based authentication. Store secret at different levels such as playbooks, roles or host. We can store wherever we want and we need to pass while executing the playbooks, we need to pass the file path. That's all. Integrated security. Access encrypted content securely without exposing sensitive data and multiple vault password. Use different vault, different password for different file. Okay. So some basic commands. Okay, so one is to create the new encrypted file. So if you wanted to create the encrypted file, you will be providing that is Ansible vault create name of your file. Okay, so automatically the vault get created. So once the vault file get created, we need to store the data. Okay, we'll see. So for AWS, I am creating the vault called AWS. For that vault, I am providing the password. Okay, so inside that file, I will be providing the ID that is access key, some value, secret key, some value. Okay, so I will save this. Fine. So just now I created the vault called AWS and I provided the password. Fine. So now, okay, so we will try to access that cat. Fine. So see here inside AWS. Okay, no, just got into these things. Okay, so instead of providing, just given. So here we created the things at that is Ansible file. The file got created here. So and we'll create another one. So Ansible dot pass. Okay. Okay. So probably what we created that is AWS dot pass. We'll try to access that dot pass. So whatever the content I have created or I have typed, it's completely got encrypted. So I cannot able to see what exactly inside my Ansible vault. So to encrypt an already existing file. So we have already some file. Okay, so we'll try to create that also. AWS Ansible dot text. So in text format, I will going to create. Okay, so just this probably now. Okay, so instead of create, I will pass and encrypt. I will pass the name of my. Okay, so to know the difference, just I will use cat. See, this is the content my file owns. Okay, now I'm going to encrypt that file by providing the pass. Okay, now if I try to access that file, so the content what I have won and after encrypting what I am seeing is completely different, right? This is called encrypted one. Okay, that is another one. So to decrypt, we just replace instead of encrypt, we going to pass. That is, we going to do for this one. So decryption got successful. Fine. We'll try to access that. So whatever the content I have written, that is got decrypted, and I can able to see the raw message. And to edit a file without decrypting it permanently. So you have already encrypted the file, you wanted to add some content to that file. So you just use the edit button, you can just start adding the content and it will got edited. So you might wonder, so what could be the existing content? It will be encrypted only, you cannot able to view nothing. Okay, so you're just going to add that. So to view the content of the encrypted file without decrypting, so we will be using the view command. Okay, so if you need to change the vault password, so you have forgotten some password, you wanted to change, on that case we will be providing rekey. Fine. So the another, so the exactly what I have just performed many tasks, right? That is what so here what they are doing is you have stored your access key and public key in this file, that is pass.yaml, and you have playbook to print your API key. Okay, So how will you access and or how will you pass your access, that is your secret credential to this one? For example, if you assume that here in this playbook you are trying to create EC2 instance, for that you need to have access key as well as public key that is kept in the secret.yaml, and here you have a EC2 instance. So while providing, that is while executing the playbook, you require to pass access key as well as public key, which is not available in the playbook. So it is requesting for public key as well, that is access key as well as secret key. So which is stored in the another file. How will you pass? Here is few example. One, if it is inside your playbook, you just ask hyphen wall. Sorry, while you wanted to provide external value or the external password. So whenever you try to access your application, it will prompt you for password, right? For those kind, we will write this kind of command, that is Ansible playbook playbook.yaml. So it will prompt me for ask that is hyphen vault hyphen pass. On that case, I need to pass this file, or else the process got terminated. So if I don't want to provide it manually, if that while running the Ansible playbook, it should be able to access by itself. On those case, I will pass this kind of value or the command. That is, it will be same till here. Instead of passing as vault pass, I will be passing vault password hyphen file space path to your password file or the secret file. So on that case, automatically it will read the content whatever inside the password file or the secret file, and it will execute the playbook. So this is the content or the this is the major or the knowledge of what we should know before we getting into the DevOps. So this is the main thing. These are the topics which we have covered. That is, what is Ansible, how do we create roles, and what is the advantages of using the Ansible Galaxy role and Ansible Galaxy collections and Ansible roles vaults. How do we going to handle the error, everything. So these are the main topics and these are the main thing one should know before getting into the DevOps. So this is all about the complete Ansible tutorial. If you people know all these concepts and how we going to perform by just watching the tutorial, and even you people should try yourself to be more perfect. So it's not like that on a one go we can able to achieve all these things. So probably we need to perform 2 or 3 times, only then we came to know how exactly it is going to work. So one of the best way to learn is practice. Okay, so by watching the tutorial. Thank you all.